There is power in writing down your goals and dreams. I can't explain it, but I know it's true. Because writing down my goals and dreams is exactly what helped me lose 100 pounds in 1 year and become a model and pretty much do all the things that I wanted to do. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Whitney Holcomb and I'm author of the book 1 Year, 100 Pounds. For those of you who are new here, I lost 100 pounds on my own when I was 14 years old and then wrote a book about it. The book is about my weight loss experience, how I lost the weight, but it's also a tough love guide for how you can lose the weight too. So if that is something you are interested in, I will leave the link to the book in the description below. But jumping right into it, part of my weight loss journey, a big part actually, an integral part of my weight loss journey was keeping a journal when I was 14 years old. So for those of you who have read my book or have been following me on this channel, you know that one of the first things I did before I lost the weight was that I had started a journal, probably my 8th grade year, like a year before I would start my weight loss journey. It was the first time that I had ever journaled consistently, but I started it after my dad told me a story about this guy who wrote down a list of 100 things he wanted to do in his life, dreams and goals, whatever, wrote them down. And at the end of his life, or near the end of his life, he realized, oh, okay, everything I wrote down pretty much happened. Almost all of the things that he'd wanted to do, he pretty much did. And in his mind, he was saying, he knows for a fact that it has something to do with the fact that he just wrote them down. And he was saying, well, because some of the stuff that he wrote down was like, it wasn't even like he had to work for it necessarily. It was like things would just start happening for him kind of randomly. Like they would just kind of randomly manifest in his life. It wasn't like he had to like actively pursue them, but it was like just after he wrote them down, it was like these things kind of just started happening for him. So after hearing this story, I was like, well, I want to do that because I have a lot of things I want to do. So I'm going to start that too. So I did. I got a journal, which I actually have with me right here. You can see this is the very same journal that I started when I was like, I guess 13, 14. It's all old and dusty, but this is the journal that started it all. So on the very first page, I have my list of goals that I started. I don't know if I'm going to show you all these goals because some of them are really embarrassing. Like I said, I was like 13, 14. I was a very awkward, cringy 13, 14-year-old girl. But the very first one was run 1 mile without stopping because that was a huge thing for me back then. Like I was always made fun of for not being able to run the mile in PE. So it was a big thing I wanted to do. Then number 7 was write a book. Keep in mind, I had never thought about being a writer before. I had no idea I would lose the weight and then write my book 4 years later. But I do distinctively remember when I wrote this down. This is the weird thing, okay? I distinctively remember writing, again, this is the first page, writing all these things. I said, run 1 mile without stopping. I have all these things like, okay, like travel to this place, learn how to, do that. And then number 7 was write a book. And I remember it just kind of came to me. I remember it feeling like a clear thought or voice in my head. It was like, write a book. It was just kind of an urge. I was like, okay, well, why not, right? So I wrote it down. 4 years later, I would be writing a book and it would be getting published. So there were just a bunch of things on this list that, like I said, some of them are just kind of silly. Like, I don't know. Again, I was so young when I wrote this. Like one was like work at a zoo. I have no desire to work at a zoo, but I guess back then I really wanted to, right? But I had other things like lose a bunch of weight and be healthy, stop being shy, visit all these places, have an apartment in New York City, right? All of these things I look back on now and I'm like, oh damn, I actually did a lot of these things. Maybe not exactly the way that I planned, but a lot of them happened. And a lot of them just kind of happened naturally in my life, which is the weird thing. Another one I see that I wrote down here, number 45, somehow try to tell the people I'm around, or preferably the world, that they are not worthless and that they are meant to do something great in this world and that they have just as much of a chance as someone like Prince William. So yes, guys, I wrote a bunch of random stuff, but oddly enough, I think I am doing a lot of this stuff that I had said I would do years ago. What is this, like 15, 16 years ago now? At least I hope I am fulfilling that dream of my little 14-year-old self by starting this YouTube channel and hopefully trying to encourage you guys to better yourselves in your life. But I wanted to make this video because I have known for a long time that there is a power in the universe. Some people call it God, whether you just want to call it the power of the universe or whatever. There is something that when you put your mind to something, when you want to do something, when you believe you can do something, there's like the quote, I think it was by Henry David Thoreau. It's like, when you decide on something, like the entire universe conspires to help you get it. And I really believe that, because I have seen that in my own life. And for me, there is something about writing it down. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I don't know if maybe it's just because you put more intention behind the things that you want when you write them down in a list, or if it's like, I don't know, some kind of sacred contract with the universe. I don't know, right? But what I do know is that there's something to it. So like I said, there were a lot of things in here that I wrote down then that have come true, that came true over the years. There were even some weird things that I wrote down that weren't on the list, but they were just like, again, I kept a journal, not just for the listed goals, but I kept a journal throughout my entire weight loss journey. And even up till now, I still keep a journal, and I would write random things too. So I do remember in here, there was like some passage about, oh, I don't know. Again, keep in mind, I was still the fat 14-year-old girl with no friends and, didn't like herself. And I was like, something about a Hollywood producer and I'm going to get discovered and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I guess I wanted to be an actress or something back then. Even, again, keep in mind, I was nowhere near looking like someone who could be an actress or a model. Long story short, a few years later, after I lost the weight, I was getting noticed by modeling agencies and photographers. And I even had a Hollywood producer reach out to me. At that time, I was like 16, 17, so only a few years after I wrote this down, and they wanted to do some kind of reality show with me at the time. And it didn't pan out for, whatever reasons I've talked about in other videos, but still, think about that, okay? Again, I was this shy, fat, unpopular 14-year-old girl who had all these crazy dreams about Hollywood producers and becoming a model and losing weight and traveling and moving to New York City, having this kind of grand life, right? Anyone at that time, especially my peers, would have looked at me and laughed, right? They would have laughed their asses off, because they would have been like, who, you do all these things? Well, I wrote it down and it happened. So I don't know what to tell you. Like I said, there's something to it. Now, look, obviously, I had to put the work in to lose 100 pounds. I had to, put the work in to do a lot of the things I've done as well. But that doesn't mean that writing it down didn't first start that, okay? It doesn't mean that that wasn't still like what lit the fire. Like, it ignited the spark. It ignited the journey. And I think also, like, losing the weight, once I lost the weight, I really believed that that was my biggest obstacle in life. So I believed, again, what you believe becomes true for you, okay? Remember that. I believed that, well, if I lose the weight, like, then all these things maybe really can happen for me, because that's my big obstacle, right? Well, again, what you believe is true, right? So after I lost the weight, all of these crazy things started happening for me, like the modeling contracts and the Hollywood producer, because now that I lost the weight, I believed it was true for me. I believed that these things could happen, and then they did. So that's why I wanted to share this with you guys today, because I think that this is important for not only just losing weight, but getting any kind of goal in life. I think that you need to write down your goals. That is the very number one thing. It doesn't have to be 100 goals. It could be 10, it could be whatever. Write them down. So that's number one. The second journaling method I did to lose weight was that I kept a journal the whole year, and I, again, still do now, but I kept it to track my progress. For me, having like a physical place to write down what I was eating, to write down, the kind of workouts I was doing, or just kind of, track my progress in any kind of way, that was super helpful for me, because I felt like I needed that kind of structure. And so I had a particular journaling method that I used where I would plan the day before, like, okay, what am I going to eat tomorrow? And I would plan my meals, right? I would also plan my workout. And I would be more specific too. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to eat this for, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then I'm going to do 10 squats at the gym and 20 minutes on the treadmill, whatever I did. And that was my plan. The next day, again, I would try to stick to that plan. If I didn't do exactly that for whatever reason, I would write down, okay, what did I actually eat? Maybe I planned on having oatmeal for breakfast, but you know what? I was too busy and I had to eat, I skipped breakfast or something, right? So and then I would write that down. I would track it. I would record it. So I would record down all of my wins and all of my failures, right? Or I shouldn't say failures. They were just, differences or mess ups. Same with my workouts. If I, planned to do 20 minutes on the treadmill, but I could only do 10, then I'd write that down. Or maybe I did 30 minutes on the treadmill instead. Keeping track of what I was doing, I think held me accountable. I was able to look back on the week before and, okay, see what worked, what didn't work. But more importantly, I think that, again, just having that plan already set in place, just like writing down the goals for whatever reason, I think it does something mentally where you are more likely to stick to it. You're more likely to achieve it if you know it's already planned out for you. It's already written in stone. So journaling was a key part in my success. I know this to be true. I know this even now when I keep a journal and when I'm trying to do a fitness goal and I am consistent about doing it every day. That's the thing too. You have to do it every day. When I'm consistent about tracking what I'm eating, when I'm consistent about tracking my workouts, I am more likely to be successful. And the other thing I did in my my journal was that I was really big into looking at motivational quotes at the time. I was really big into reading self-help stuff. So I remember being, a kid and going on the internet and looking up like motivational quotes, right? I'd go to like Good Quote or whatever, and I would find things that just resonated with me because I felt like for me, reading words from other successful people, it did something for me. So what I would do, I would choose my favorite motivational quotes, and then I would sometimes like write them in my journal. I'd usually write them at the top of my daily page. So something that when I was planning my workouts or I was planning my meals, again, I would look back at that page, I would see that quote. And if I happened to be losing motivation after seeing that quote, I'd be like, okay, I'm motivated again, So I would always find something that really resonated with me. So again, it was just such an important part of my success, I think. And I have told you guys before, I think you need to have some kind of way to hold yourself accountable. So whether you have an app you use where you track your meals, your fitness progress, or you have a journal, I just think it's really important to keep you on track, which is why I created something that I want to share with you guys. This is the 1 Year New You Guided Weight Loss Journal, months 1 to 3. So I'm really excited about this. This journal, it's a guided weight loss motivational journal written by me. That is basically the exact form of journaling that I did when I lost the weight. It's also the same format I use now, but it is formatted all nicely and prettily with much better handwriting than I have. And it is made specifically for you so that you can also be successful with your weight loss journey. So originally I wanted to do a journal that was a year's long worth of tracking pages and inspiration because I wanted the whole theme of the journal to be okay, 1 year transformation, right? Kind of like what I did because I completely changed my life in a year. So I want that for you guys as well. But I quickly realized that creating a journal that big would just be so big and so expensive. So I decided to create it in smaller amounts. So this is the first one. This is months 1 to 3. And then I've created several other journals to complete the full year. I actually think this works out better because at least this is kind of in 3-month blocks. So it's a little less intimidating, I think, especially if you're just starting, or maybe you only have 3 months until you reach your goal, right? Or maybe you only have 6 months, so you don't need all the journals. But like I said, what's different about this journal is that it is a place for you to plan your meals, to track your meals, your calories, your steps, even room for you to, say whatever you want, to script out other little things you want to talk about or think about. And of course, the very first page is space to write your goals. So I have space for you to write your 10 goals that you want to complete in the 3 months. Again, I just think that writing them down hold you more accountable. You're more likely to achieve them. I also have some of my favorite motivational quotes throughout the weeks. They are written at the top of each page of your journal to keep you motivated. I also have a weekly motivational and inspirational message, again, written by me, that will just help you stay motivated each week. Each week it is something different that is meant to motivate you and keep you on track. So if you want to check it out, I will leave the link below to the journal. Like I said, I'm really excited about it. I've been using my own and I really like it because again, it's pretty and it's better than having my own handwriting doing all this stuff because I have really terrible handwriting. But yeah, like I said, it keeps me on track and it just makes me feel more like a structured person, more like a disciplined person. That being said, you don't have to use my journal. Okay, you can do this with any journal that you have. You can have your own journaling method. But the point I want to make though is I think that you need to start taking your dreams and your goals more seriously. And the first step and the easiest step that you can do to do that is just start writing it down. Like I said, I don't know what it is. Okay, I don't know what, some of you might call it woo-woo, whatever, but I'm telling you it's true, okay? There is something in this universe that conspires to give us what we want when we set clear intentions and when we believe we can have it. And for some reason, writing does the trick, at least for me. I know that I've heard from other manifestation people, they talk about scripting, right? Scripting, writing down what you want or writing it down as if you already have it. Pretending that you're doing a journal entry. I'm a millionaire and I am a size 2 and everyone loves me, right? I don't know, just random stuff like that. Write down whatever you want. And, it's worked for other people before too. They say, hey, I wrote it down and I got it almost exactly as I wanted to. If anything, guys, I think that it is just a good way, like I said, to keep you on track. It's both a mental and physical checklist that just reminds you, right? It reminds you of the things you want. It reminds you what you're working for. I think it's also just, again, a physical thing you can look back at. I think the more you keep your goals and your dreams fresh, alive in your mind, the more likely you are to achieve them. The more likely you are to take subconscious or conscious actions towards what you want versus what you don't want. It makes your intentions more clear in your own mind. So try it. Try it. I guarantee you, when you start tracking your progress, when you start treating your goals and your dreams like it's a real tangible thing you can have, that's when things start changing for you. Instead of it just being dreams in your head and, silly daydreams that, come and go. No, when you put it down on paper, I think it solidifies something. It literally manifests those dreams in your head, and now it's physical on paper. And I think that makes a difference. I think that is how you create reality, is when you take what's in your head and you make it real in the real world. That's when you see the changes. Okay, guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give me a like and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. As always, let me know in the comments below what you think. Do you guys journal? Have you had any? I also want to hear like your weird experiences with manifestation, or any, have you ever had something where you wrote something down, or you were thinking about something and then it just kind of like happened for you? I feel like that is always really cool to hear. And I feel like those things usually tend to happen too when you're not thinking about them as much. You know what I mean? When you're not as focused on them. So I'd love to hear your stories and your thoughts. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys next time.